long time. How have you been?
Whoa, man, where did I come from? Could it have been from a portal? I don't have After Effects, so you guys are gonna just have to give me a little bit of slack right now. So hi, this is Dodger. You are watching my Portal 2 review. Back in the day, when Portal 2 first came out, I got a bunch of messages from people asking if I would be interested in doing a Portal 2 review, which I was, but I got distracted with moving and all sorts of other stuff. And figured, once I moved, that it had been too long and people weren't interested in seeing it anymore. But I kept getting messages asking about it, so I figured I could just make this. For those of you who wanted to see it, here it is. For those of you who don't really care, you don't have to watch it. It's no biggie. But Portal 2 is a great game. I'm totally happy to talk about it. I'm going to format it like I've formatted in the past, where I'm going to give you a very, very brief summary, and then talk about design and mechanics and difficulty and all sorts of stuff like that. And then I'll talk about storyline a little bit. With this game, my experience was so strongly based on the fact that I knew nothing about the game and got to just, like, realize things as they were happening, like, pretty much from the get-go, that I really am not going to talk about storyline all that much. I'm not going to delve into it too much. That being said, let us jump in. So Portal 2 takes place, again, at the Aperture Science facilities, where you, again, play as Chell, which is great. And it's just a more expanded, delved storyline that has to do with your experiences with GLaDOS and also with a new character that you meet right from the get-go. So first off, a couple of people have asked me if they could play this game without having to play the first one, to which I virtually slap you and say, why wouldn't you play this game? It is a work of art, and it is great and a masterpiece, and you should absolutely play the first one before you play the second one. Don't be silly. That being said, I don't think that you have to play the first one before you play the second one in terms of, like, understanding what's going on. But I know that there are so many moments in the game that are even loosely connected to the first one that all of the, like, thrilling, wonderful moments within it that just make you go hee hee hee, you have to have played the first one to really experience that. And I think that you should play the first one, but no, you don't have to. Now, the design in this game is just as brilliant the second time around as it was the first time around. I know that when they announced that they were going to make this game, a lot of concern in the community happened around whether or not the second game was going to feel like the first game, or if it was just going to feel forced. It definitely didn't feel forced, and I know that they, just from reading, I know that they played around with this game a lot, and they, were constantly changing things. I'm sure making sure that the entire game cohesed in a way that made sense, especially with such a strong community base behind it. People needed this game to work and to fit within the universe. But that being said, they definitely didn't play it safe in terms of the storyline or in terms of design or mechanics or anything like that. Like, they definitely took a lot of chances, which is great. It means that they did it right. There's some complaining about the length of the game, that it was too short, but just like with the first one, it felt like the perfect amount of time to me. It felt like when you were done with the game, you sat back and you felt like you experienced something, rather than you had all of these miniature experiences that in between had this really bland meatloaf, but you had to eat the meatloaf in order to get to the next cool thing. Now for mechanics, gameplay is the same. If you're using a computer, it's basically the same. If you're switching to a console, I wound up buying the PS3 version of the game because I knew it would come with a code for the computer, so just for fun I played it on the PS3, and it was very easy to figure out. And it's cool because the way that the second game is set up, because they know that we've played the first one like 18 times, so the way that it's set up is very cool because the beginning parts wind up being very easy chambers, so that if you've never played the game before, you can figure out how to play it very easily. If you have played the game a million times, it takes you no time at all to just breeze through them. So it's nice. It's set up in a way that helps everybody. Now, in terms of difficulty, and I know that this is something that has come up in forums all the time, whether or not the game was too easy. Although I think that this game was just right. They didn't play to the highest common denominator, but they also didn't play to the lowest common denominator. I absolutely love puzzles. I can't just look at them and immediately figure them out. I had plenty of moments in this game where I was sitting there going, and had to just kind of pause, get up, get a bag of chips, come back, look at it again, and go, oh, okay, I can figure this out now. The concept and play style of Portal is very simple. It's a very simple idea that allows them to play around in a way that is a bit more advanced. And I think the elements that they added to the game, and this kind of has to do with mechanics, but they added some things to the game that definitely were not in the first game, that you had to kind of figure out. But they stacked it on top in a way where you were able to figure it out, and you were able to mesh ideas together and think very clearly about what you needed to do in order to get to the next area, which is how a puzzle game should work. It should stack in that way. I had a friend who played this game and said, quote, I love this quote so much, "This game was obviously not made for somebody of my high intellect." To which I responded, "So did you like the game?" And he said, "Oh yeah, it was one of the best games that I've played in a really long time." So, even if you are of a high intellect and can just breeze through the puzzles, which sounds so boring to me. I mean, without those struggling moments, it's like, eh. But he still loved it. He still thought it was incredible. So even if you think that you are of the brain capacity to be able to just, like, breeze through this game, the character development and just the storyline alone really helps you just, like, love it. Which leads quite seamlessly into the storyline. Now, again, like I said before, I'm not going to talk about the actual events within the game too much, because so much of what I loved about this game was that I knew nothing. So even from the get-go, I was going, what is going on? Like, in a great way, not in a confusing, frustrating way at all. Now, Portal is a mostly character-driven game. I mean, you do the puzzles, and you figure things out, and you feel accomplished, and you love it that way, but at the end of the game, you walk away from it being haunted by GLaDOS. After I played Portal, I played it in our living room on my laptop, and my mom happened to watch me play the first couple of chambers, and for like a week after I had played this game, she was asking me to mimic the GLaDOS voice because she loved it so much. She thought it was just so awesome and just loved that character, and she had barely watched me play. So of course, when Portal 2 was announced, all of us were pretentiously sitting upon our couches and, how can they possibly not screw this game up? Pah! Then Valve said, oh, also there's more of a storyline to this game. We've added more of a story to it. And so many people, like, their brains just melted and, like, fell out of their faces, and they were going, no, this game is gonna be terrible! And it's true, how do you make a sequel to a game that people walked away from saying, wow, I feel like I just, I just did something interesting. Now, many people have asked which one is better. And if I have to answer that question, and if I have to be honest, Portal 2 not only branches off of the first one in, like, a completely seamless way, but I think that it's also better than the first one. I don't feel that I should have to say that one is better than the other, because they fit together so perfectly. Like, it's just a wonderful experience. And I know that I said that I'm not going to talk about storyline at all, but I can assure you, if you loved the first one, you will love the second one. And if you haven't played the first one, you will still love the second one. It expands the universe of the game in a way that's just so perfect, and you wind up being so excited to play. And I just sat and played it in one sitting, so, yep. Overall, it's a great game. It's a beautiful game. I think that it's an easy game to figure out, but it does have some challenges to it that I appreciated. The characters in it don't feel compromised at all. Everything feels like it just works together in a great way. And I hope that any of you who haven't had a chance to play it, or just haven't taken the time to play it, will take the time to play it and experience this game, because it's great. So thanks for watching. Sorry that this came out so late, but I hope that you still enjoyed it, and I hope that your week is going great. Okay, bye-bye.